Okay, Venerable Brother, Dhamma friends, we are going to start the second Dhamma sermon. May you give your consent by saying Sadhu Sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sankatang abhisankaronti titko bhikkave tasma sankharati vuccanti ti. Dear friends in Dhamma, dear Venerable Brother, so yesterday actually we started discussing about various thoughts. So we all are thinking, so it is necessary to understand about our thinking. So what are the different categories of thinking? So it's a very interesting area to discuss. And most of you may be certainly disturbed by thinking. Some of you may want to concentrate yourself, to calm down the mind, tranquilize the mind. But it's difficult because there are many thoughts are coming on many subjects and we can't stop thinking. So therefore, understanding about thinking and their influence, the impact is quite important. So yesterday we discussed one very interesting sutta, that is the Madhupindika Sutta, how conceptual proliferation happen in an orderly manner. So if I revise the process, so one area or one stage, the first stage, is very much happen as a natural process, as a cause and effect relationship. Chakkuncha paticca rupecha uppajjati chakku viññānam tinnaṃ saṅgati passo passapaccaya vedana. So that is actually a very typical process happening everybody, going through everyone. It's a natural process. So cause and effect relationship is there. So when I and the form comes together, this contact happens, the eye consciousness happens, and then the contact happens again and again. This process repeats. So that produce certain feeling. And this is the first stage, the natural process. And then what happens is actually we as a person comes to the picture, and now I want to recognize what has happened. So there is a feeling that I am going through. Now I want to recognize it. Yang vedeti tang sanjanati, yang sanjanati tang vitakketi, yang vitakketi tang papancheti. Now all this happens as a personal experience. So now I am putting my hand, I am interested about the process, concerned about the process. There is a feeling, I want to recognize it, I want to know it more. So I recognize it, and not only that, I am thinking about it. And this thinking, not only in one direction, in one particular angle, but I now tends to think in many directions, in many angles. Now we are coming to the level of papancha, where the many different directional, multidirectional thinking we purposely start. So this is the second stage, where kind of a personal involvement is taken place. First one is actually a dependently arisen process, the first stage. Now we are in the second stage. I as a person participated into the process. Now I am thinking and into many directions. Now once this process has started, it is growing by itself. It is carrying some amount of a momentum. It is growing to another level. So that is the third stage. In the third stage, actually I become a victim of that very process of thinking. Now what we call as papancha saññā saṅkhā samudācaranti. That means that very proliferation process overwhelmed that very person. So I have started, but now I am the victim of that process. I am a kind of a slave to that process. Now that thinking operates beyond my capacity. So thinking has gathered fair amount of high momentum. So I am simply a slave of that thinking. I am just participating in that thinking. I am being victimized to that thinking. I can't stop that now. I want to stop it, maybe. I understood, okay, there is no point of thinking like this. No point of worrying like this, but I can't stop it now. So I am a kind of a victim of this whole process. Therefore, we can see these three stages into our proliferation process. The first stage is common even to everyone, even to nobles. It's a dependently arisen process, first stage. Second stage, now I am participating into the process. I purposely recognize, think, and then many directional way I am thinking. Then that thinking itself gathers momentum, and it is capable of even taking me into the process and is driving me into thinking, and which has no control for me. I am a victim of that process now. That's the third stage. Now, in this process, we understood one thing, that is vitakka causes papancha. That is, the thinking causes conceptual proliferation. So the vitakka is one sense thinking. Say, I want to think about something. So some amount of a control is there. I am the one promoting, I am the one giving certain direction. Okay, I want to think about this particular subject. I want to think about him. I want to think about this. I want to think about that. So kind of a under control type of thinking, vitakka. But when it happens, naturally I tends to think more and more. I am promoting thinking, and mostly I am not mindful about now, lost mindfulness. So there is a tendency operating in the mind, and it promotes more and more thinking into many directions, and it becomes a prapancha, conceptual proliferation. So thinking promotes conceptual proliferation. So this is one area that I need to understand. So there's a tendency in the mind to think. There's a tendency in the mind to diversify into many directions, multi-directional way to think. This is actually a characteristic of the sankhara khandha. So how Buddha defines sankhara, mental formations. So these are, our whole experience. Buddha divides into 5 aggregates: form aggregate, feelings aggregate, perceptions aggregate, formations aggregate, and the consciousness aggregate. Hope you all are familiar with it. So-called person going through different experiences. So Buddha defines everything under 5 aggregates. So I, as a person going through different experiences, all that experience I can explain using these 5 aggregates. Now in these 5 aggregates, the formations aggregate is particularly interesting for our discussion. So what is formations aggregate and what is its task? So in Kajjaniya Sutta, where Buddha explains, Kincha bhikkhave sankhare vadeta. Monks, why is it called sankhara? Why is it called mental formations? So he is asking the question and then he is giving the answer. Sankhatang abhisankharonti bhikkhave tasma sankharati vuccanti. Sankhatang abhisankharonti. So there are conditioned phenomena. So there's a tendency in the mind to further construct this conditioned phenomena. So for example, there is a form. Into that form, now I am adding my own value. I am adding my own like. I am adding my own dislike. I am adding my own value judgment. I am adding my own preconceived idea. So different imaginations I am adding to that. So it is magnified now, multiplied now. There's a kind of a tendency operating in my mind. Rupang rupattaya sankatang abhisankharonti. So whatever physical phenomena, I just can't keep them as mere physical phenomena. What I do is I am adding my own stuff into that physical phenomena when I am experiencing it. Say for example, I am seeing this fan. So that actually what I primarily perceive is a kind of a rotation, kind of a color, kind of a shape. So that is the form attributes that I am actually see to my naked eye. But I can't stop there. I am recognizing it. I am adding my value judgment. It is a good fan. It is a fan. It is made up with this brand. Probably I better change it. I better clean it. Probably it might fall to my head. So likewise, I am adding a lot of my information, my value judgments, my preferences, likes, dislikes into the picture. This is how I am doing this further constructions, further preparations, further additions, multiplications into this small experience where I am experiencing this form, seeing this form. So you can now need to understand this in many different ways. So how we are magnifying, how we are constructing, preparing even a sound. Say you assume that you are walking in your walking path and you hear a sound. Maybe a sound of a song. Maybe it's an interesting song. So you have that kind of a like in that. So that's an interesting song. Who made it interesting? So that is I. So I have a tendency in me to consider that song as something interesting. And then I am start thinking about it. Probably I am memorizing it, I remember it, I am even murmuring it, and maybe even, walk according to it. Now probably I am stepping according to the melody of that song while in the walking path. It can happen because I am now enjoying it, I am completely being very much like consumed by that sound, consumed by that song. I have become that, basically absorbed to that. So that is related to the sounds. Similar to the smells, similar to the taste. So whenever I am experiencing certain taste, for example, say while you are going through while you are having your meal, certain taste is there. So why are we giving some specific value to a certain taste? The tongue can understand different taste, but I have certain preference to certain taste. So this is not nicely cooked. I can cook it better. Or probably there may be some more salt necessary. Maybe it's too much chili. So we are adding our own additions. I'm putting my own judgments onto the picture. But what I have experienced is a taste. I can't keep taste as a merely taste. So I do a lot of preparations, I do a lot of additions, multiplications, value judgments into this little taste. Similarly to the tangibles, say when I am experiencing some sort of a sensation, so there also I am judging it, putting my own additions, likes, dislikes, my conditioning into the picture, and this happens naturally even. We can't even know that. Sometimes, if we are not mindful, we can't even know that. And even when we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, think, even a thought comes to the mind. And probably I might think, okay, this thought is a good thought, bad thought, this is my thought. I should not think like this. I should better think more like this. So likewise, I am even having certain judgments towards the thoughts. Further constructions onto that thought. So therefore, Buddha further explained, Rupang rupattaya sankatang abhisankaronti. Vedanang vedanattaya sankatang abhisankaronti. Sanyang sanyattaya sankatang abhisankaronti. That means, say even assume that now you remember about your friend. You remember about your mother, about your father, about your friend, about your daughter, about your son, whoever. Simply a sign may appear in your mind, kind of a mental image. But to that mental image, I am adding my own stuff, putting my own additions, my likes, dislikes, value judgments. I personify that little image. This is my son. Don't know whether he is well. Don't know whether he has gone somewhere. So you might even become anxious. You start thinking about your son, your good son, your, bad son, who knows. Whoever, so good, bad, say past, future, long, short. So we are having our own different conventional judging criteria. So we are applying all that into our experience. So this is the function of the sankhara khanda, the mental formations. And the interesting part is sankhare sankharattaya sankatang abhisankaronti. So there's even at the thought level, even if you get a lustful thought, so you can't simply keep it as it is. You are adding more thoughts to it. Even if you get a loving kindness thought, We can't simply keep thought as a thought. We are adding even more to that. If you have a certain intention, say you have an intention to participate into a party, an intention, a thought, but we are adding different directional ways even to that thought. So even when there is a sankhara, even when there is a mental formation, so there is a tendency even to multiply that mental formation. And if there is any kind of a sense knowing part, cognizing part, even there we do this construction. Rupang rupattaya, vedanang vedanattaya, sanyang sanyattaya, sankhare sankharattaya, viññānaṁ viññānattaya. So all the 5 aggregates are subjected to this kind of a construction, this kind of a multiplication, this kind of an addition, multiplication, further construction, further preparations. So this is something we do. So we can't stop merely by seeing, we can't stop merely by hearing, we can't stop merely by tasting, smelling, touching. And even when a thought comes to the mind, even when an idea comes to the mind, we can't simply keep it as it is. We add our own stuff. So this is very, very important in the thinking area. So this promotes thinking, basically. So the Sankhara Skandha is fairly responsible for promoting thinking. So whenever we see, we can't merely keep it to a mere sight. So Sankhara Skandha promotes us to add our own stuff, put our own ideas, our own value judgments. Now it promotes thinking. Now you can see, so there's an internal tendency in our mind to do a kind of a multiplication, to do some sort of a preparation, to do some sort of a construction. Sankhara, sanskara. The term sanskara do a kind of has the meaning of preparation. Now say for example, you are preparing to play a role as a lenchina. That's a, you know that there's an old drama. So you are now playing the role of lenchina. So you are now preparing, you can't wear a typical this Western clothing for that, but you need to wear a very traditional old village-like clothing for that role to play. So you are preparing yourself. So you are applying certain colors, you comb your hair in a particular style, you are wearing certain clothes, and you now become lenchina. So now you are playing the role of lenchina. How about, say, you have to play as a queen, playing the role of a queen. So are you a queen? No, you are just a normal woman, right? But you now have to play the role of a queen. So you are preparing yourself, right? You are applying a amount of different cosmetics. And probably you can put some shining jewelry. So just to represent as a queen. This is a preparation. We do a preparation. We do apply a lot of cosmetics. We are adding our own stuff. So that others may think, they might feel, I am a queen. So the sanskara has this meaning. It has the meaning of preparation even in a kind of a drama, in the kind of a acting area, so the film industry or the drama. So we do the preparations. We are playing a particular role. Accordingly, we are acting. We are doing a lot of other stage preparations, cosmetics, lighting and all this and that. All are preparations. So same meaning. So our mind also are doing this all preparations. It is not the raw data that we are consuming, but we add our own stuff, our own likes, our own dislikes, and we are consuming something constructed. We are consuming something conditioned. We are something colored already. Not the thing as it is, but rather we do a lot of constructions, additions, multiplications, divisions, all that, and that is what we are now experiencing. Now this is one thing that we need to remember. Now let's come to another story. One time, you know the Sakka, the god Sakka. Now he is the chief to two godly realms, celestial realms, Chatum Maharajika and Tavatinsa. So those are the two celestial realms according to the Buddhist cosmology, and he is the king, God Sakka. Have you seen him? No? So one day he come to meet the Buddha. He also has lot of questions. Now he come to see the Buddha, and he has a very interesting question. And he is asking, Bhante, you know this, even the gods, even the humans, they like to live peacefully. They like to live harmoniously. And they like to live, cordially with everyone without any conflicts, helping each other, admiring each other, helping each other. So this is what they want. But you see, everywhere there are conflicts. Everywhere there are quarrels. Everywhere wars, arguments, conflicts. So why is that? What's the reason? Even though they all want to live peacefully, nowhere we can find peace. Very interesting question. Because intentionally that we all want to live happily, but nowhere a peaceful society, peaceful environment, everywhere certain conflicts are available. But what's the reason? Then Buddha say, Issa Machariya is the reason. Envy and the miserliness is the reason. This is one main reason that Buddha highlights, where certain people have something and certain others don't have. And when we don't have something and when someone else is enjoying what I want, then probably I have certain envy, certain kind of a jealousy. I'm envious of that person. So as a result of that, I might get into quarrel, argument, I hate him. A kind of an anger develops because I don't have what he is enjoying. So I am feeling that he might taken that by force or by unlawful ways. So I have different reasons to argue, certain reason to get into conflicts. And basically, I am envious of that person. I am angry of that person. I am jealous of that person because of this envy, this jealousy. On the other hand, suppose you are the person having it. So you are well gifted than the others and you are enjoying senses, you are enjoying fair amount of luxury. And there's another person and he probably want it. He also likes it. But do you like to share it? Do you want to share it? Or you have certain kind of a miserliness about what you have. So certain resources, certain whatever you have might not be even possible to share, and even sometimes even possible you don't want to share. So the miserliness come into the picture. So when you are not ready to share, probably the other person want to take it by force or they want to steal it. So likewise now get into conflicts. Now you want to protect what you have. Now arguments are there, now conflicts are there, probably you need to use force, you need to use weapons to protect. So you can see that Buddha's answer has a fairly social dimension. So the enmity, this jealousy and the miserliness are the reason for all these conflicts, for all these different arguments and taking the rods, taking the clubs, taking the weapons. Now after explaining that, so God Sakka happy about it, but he want to know further. So he is asking Bhante, what is the cause for miserliness and enmity, miserliness and jealousy? Then Buddha say, it is because of peer appear. So we have certain things likable, certain things unlikable. I like it and I don't like it. So I have certain kind of my preferences. I like that, I don't like that. I want it. So that is likes and dislikes is another perception we are carrying in our head. I like that color. I like that person. I like that woman. I like that picture. So all likes are there. And I don't like it. I don't like you. So certain dislikes are there. So these are certain, internally we have these biases operating in the mind. So Buddha say, for issa machariya to happen, jealousy and the miserliness to happen, likes and dislikes is the reason. And then God Sakka appreciated that answer, and he is asking, Bhante, what is the reason for piya appiya, like and dislike? And then Buddha mentioned that is because of the desire. Chanda. Chanda is the reason for piya appiya. So there is a desire operating in the mind. So internally there is a tanha, there is a craving, there is a desire operating in the mind. And that desire says, okay, this is I want, I like it. This I don't want, I don't like it. So desire, chanda is the reason. And then he is asking how desire happens, how chanda happens. Now we are coming to the subject. Interestingly, Buddha say, vitakka is the reason. Thinking is the reason. So thinking causes desires. So now we are coming to a very interesting area. Now thinking is the cause for desires. So you are thinking about it. Now say for example, you accidentally saw someone. Just by chance you saw someone. But you somehow got a snapshot. So what you do? Thinking, again and again thinking. So you are trying to remember, you are trying to memorize what you saw, who he is, and probably you think this way, you try to think that way. So that thinking promotes desires. So it's not difficult to understand. So you simply glanced, you simply had a snapshot. But as a result of your thinking, now the desires are growing. You are promoting certain desires, further desires in the mind because of thinking. Now the interesting question, God Sakka does not stop there. He is asking, Bhante, how thinking happens? So what is the reason for thinking? Now we come into a more deeper answer. Buddha say, papancha sanya sankha. Papancha sanya sankha is the reason for thinking. So what is this papancha sanya sankha? Now, if we come to some translation here, so there are various concepts. There are various linguistic norms, linguistic letters, representations, and say numbers, and then the designations. Now these all comes as this papancha sanya sankha, under the category of papancha sanya sankha. Now say for example, I have given a name to this. What is it? A clock. I have given a name to this. This is a recorder. I have given a name to that, maybe a picture. I have given a name to this, maybe a light. I have given a name to that ceiling fan. So all are names. Okay, just to recognize them properly, to communicate among us. So we have given names. So we are the ones given those names, right? So I am conceptually given a name. So whenever I am telling, okay, I want to buy a ceiling fan, so you all understand, okay, what I need. So if I am going to a shop, so they will give me a ceiling fan. Easy, understood, necessary. So we have introduced all these labels, we have introduced all these names. So comes under the language. So different languages are there, and in those languages different words are there, different vocabularies are there, and all are human made. And from our childhood we are learning all that, all those rules, grammar, different words, and these all different linguistic representations. And now suppose you see a particular board, Nishabdavan, be silent. Is it carries any kind of a meaning to you? It carries certain meaning to you. And probably it might promote thinking. Why these people are talking this much of silence? I can't keep my mouth shut. I am used to talk. I am used to administer many people. How can I keep my mouth shut? These people are, mad. Everywhere it's pasted this Nishabdavan, be silent, be silent, be silent. Why can't they only paste only on the notice board? Everywhere, everywhere they have pasted be silent, be silent. So you might start thinking. So by seeing that letter, seeing that notice, but a language related some kind of a notice, certain words are there. So we immediately give a value to it. We immediately understand what is meant, but it promotes thinking. Now say for example, this very expensive item available somewhere. Say you have dropped your bracelet and you saw it. And who has given the value to that bracelet? So we as humans. So if assume that bracelet being found by a dog, is he worried about it? No, I mean he doesn't care. If there's a bone or something, maybe he is interested, not about a bracelet. But if we see a bracelet, probably we are very interested. Who has dropped this bracelet? Probably I better catch it. It may be dropped by someone else. He may not be interested. I better take it immediately before someone else see it. Now you start thinking. So all these different products promotes thinking. Now all these products are made by thinking also. Remember that. So who has created the bracelet? So who has added that design? Who has prepared that whatever the beautiful, craftsmanship? All are human made. So all these products, what we created, what humans have created, promotes thinking. Suppose you are going through a supermarket. So various products are there. Each and every product wants your attention. So that's why they are properly wrapped, beautifully wrapped, very attractive, taking your attention. And once your attention being taken, you start thinking, I want it. Maybe I better go and see the product. So you take it to your hand, you start reading, what's the price? Oh my goodness, too expensive. Can't afford it. So thinking, desires, all are coming because now it is a product, by the way. Now it is actually, it is not talking, but it is very inanimate thing, but that inanimate thing, that product has the capacity to produce thinking in human mind. So papancha sanya sankha is in a way quite static, but those static concepts, those static products, those static linguistic norms has the capacity to promote thinking in human mind. This is a really philosophical idea that Buddha explaining here. So now we are talking two sides of papancha, two sides of thinking. What is one side? That is where what we discuss in the Madhupindika Sutta and even in the Kajjaniya Sutta, where our mind has the tendency to multiply. Minds naturally have the dynamic tendency in ourselves to multiply things. We can't keep things as it is. We have our own value judgments. We are adding our own preparations, our own likes, dislikes, our conditioning, our coloring, all that. We are adding and we do the thinking. Because of sankhara's function, because of our tendency in our mind. So we promote thinking and we being captured by proliferation. But on the other hand, all these human-made products, all these human-made languages, words, signs, numbers, who created the numbers? So we, as human beings, okay? I mean, we are the ones introduced, say, Roman calculations, Roman numbers, Arabic numbers, and probably I like, say, Roman numbers. Probably you might not like Roman numbers. You want Arabic numbers. So I prefer Arabic. So you are putting a name to a road. Okay, this is Pereira Road. You say, okay, Pereira Road is not a nice name. Let's put a different name. So we can have an argument. So the name, that name tag promotes thinking. I have my preferences into it. I'm adding my value judgments into it. So these are simple terms, simple labels, languages, and our made products, but it promotes thinking. Now we are trapped in two sides. Internally we have a tendency to think, proliferate. On the other hand, what we have created, what we have produced, what we have made, also promotes thinking. Everywhere we are being promoted to thinking, so we start thinking. And now, so we can understand certain other sides. Now, what is the result of thinking? Now, when we are being attracted to something, and that is called abhinanditabbang, I am delighted with it. Say you see a beautiful scenery, you are happy about it, you are delighted with it, and I want it. Now, you become a person and that person want it. So previously it is a desire. Now into the desire I am adding a person also. Now there is a participation of a self into this whole experience. Now there is a beautiful picture. You saw it. It's beautiful. I like it. I want it. It's mine. You grab it. Say, I come to the picture. On the other hand, say, there is something beautiful and you have seen it. Again and again it comes to the mind and you welcome it. Again and again you remember it. Oh, I have seen it. Oh, beautiful. Again you see it. So likewise you do a further welcoming of that whatever the sight and what we call abhivaditabbang. And probably you may compare it with someone else's picture and someone else's performance with someone else basically. So it produces some sort of a measurement between you and another person. So I again created, myself another again created. So what we call the asmimana, the eso ahang asmi. So basically this abhivaditabbang, again and again repeatedly thinking, promotes some sort of a measurement, some sort of a comparison. And now it another way promotes a self-view. On the other hand, once I am adhered to something, I have taken strongly something, adhered to something, attached to something strongly, now I have come to a certain conclusion, certain view, and in that ditti, in that view, now I am having a self-view. Eso me atta. So I am this, I am that. So as a self, as a atma, you are there. Now these are three areas how we are adding a person into our sense experience. Now let me little simplify the process. So we have 6 senses. We discussed yesterday, right? We have 6 senses. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and the mind. So this is how, using the senses, we are actually dealing with the outside. Eye with forms, ear with sounds, nose with smells, tongue with the taste, body with tangibles, and mind with mind objects. So where is I? So how I operated? Now I can deal with sights. Ear can deal with sounds. Nose can deal with smells. Tongue can deal with tastes. And the body can deal with tangibles. Mind can deal with mental objects. So where is I? I mean capital I. So all this sense experience, by the way, when we are going through, we are adding a self, we are adding an ego, we are adding a person into the picture, into this sense experience. So this is what we are trying to explain here. So whenever there is a delight happens in the mind, so I want it, the tanha comes to the picture. The tanha promotes a person, I. It is mine. So that promotes a person, tanha. On the other hand, when I am comparing, when I am welcoming something, again and again I am reflecting something, kind of a comparison can happen, the mana can happen. It is also promoting an I, conceit, again called I. On the other hand, when I am clinging to something, grasping something, adhering something strongly, I am coming to a kind of a conclusion. That is also promoting a self. Atma, a self. So likewise, our sense experience is not limited to mere transaction. Transaction between I and the forms, transaction between ear and the sounds, smell and the nose, tongue and the taste, body and the tangibles, mind and the mind objects. Now I am additionally having an ego into the transaction. I am additionally having a person into the transaction. Now Buddha explains this in the various suttas talking about the Sakkaya Ditthi. How Sakkaya Ditthi happens, how personality view happens. Say for example, you are thinking, you have certain intentions, you have beautiful ideas, and you are into a meeting, you are participating in a meeting, and now a lot of thoughts are there, a lot of ideas are there, brilliant ideas are there. So your colleagues are putting different ideas, and you are also showcasing your idea. So when different ideas are being explained, and suppose now different ideas are there. Say you are presenting your idea, another person presenting his idea, another person presenting her idea. So different ideas are there. So which idea you prefer? My idea. Not your idea. I want to, win my idea. That is my idea. It's the best idea. Not yours. Yours are, all bullshit. So my idea is the best idea. So now idea become myself or idea become mine. So we come to the self view, the personality view, where I am recognizing idea as either my idea or I am immediately recognizing idea is myself. So this is my brilliant idea, this is my design, this is my way of thinking, this is my imagination, this is my creativity. So yours is not good, yours is inferior, my idea is the superior. So likewise I do a comparison. So the ideas are something that we are strongly using to personify ourselves or to strongly identify ourselves as a person. If someone criticizes your idea, then there can be an argument. Easily there can be an argument. Not because that your idea is the best idea, but you are attached to your idea. Say there are different ideas available. Probably you are even convinced more than your idea, someone else's idea is the best idea. But you can't accept it. Why? Because I am so attached to my idea. It is my idea now. So personality view comes forefront, and I can even argue, I can represent my idea. I am because identified with that idea, either as my idea or as immediately as myself. On the other hand, when we are having different ideas, when I am having different thoughts in the mind, so I feel I am live. So a lot of thinking is going on, so I feel live. Say, assume that you are angry with someone. A lot of thoughts are coming in your mind and against that person, and you feel living. So you love thinking in that sense. So that's why people like thinking. So they can't keep quiet. So they promote thinking because they feel live, they feel excited, they feel, really highlighted when they are thinking. And Buddha explains in 4 different ways how sankhara, how the mental formations are promoting this personality view. Sankhare attato samanupassati. So immediately recognizing volitional formations as self. Then sankhara vantanang va attanang. Basically thinking all these ideas, all these thoughts belonging to me. I am a person, so all the ideas coming to my head belong to me. Attaniva sankhare. Basically that means there is a self, in that self one component is this thinking. All these thoughts are one part of that self. Or sankharesuva attanang basically means self as in mental formations. So mental formations are there, so I am there. I like to connect some other part here. Probably you have heard about the Descartes. So one German philosopher, and he has come up with a very prominent argument. He has become very popular with this argument. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. So thinking is there, so I should be there. who else is thinking? I am the one thinking. So there are various thoughts going on in the mind. So they are there. There should be a person should be available. I am that person. I think, therefore I am. So the very popular statement coming from the Western psychology, Descartes is particularly defining, okay, thoughts are there. There should be an owner. I am the owner of that. So you can see in this human realm, so we are recognizing ourselves as a person depending on thinking. Thinking plays an important role to have a personality view, Sakkaya Ditthi. So if we are thinking too much, if we are promoting thinking, and personality view is fairly tightened, fairly highlighted, and particularly if you are into arguments, if you are into administration, if you are into meetings with a lot of ideas, talking with others and trying to protect your own idea, on each and every meeting probably help you to highlight yourself, argue with others, to play a person, as an individual, as myself. Now all that said, so basically what we need to understand is how thinking promotes a person, how thinking promotes personality view, and how thinking promotes desires. And that desires do not stop there. It can promote likes and dislikes. It can promote issa machariya, what that enmity, the jealousy and the miserliness. And it promotes hatred, arguments, conflicts, wars, this and that. So kind of a complex area. Even though we see thinking as an innocent activity, we all have, but it has a lot of consequences. So there are many areas promoting thinking. I am simply participating into that thinking. From the morning to the night I am thinking. And from the day I am learning different concepts. When I am going to the kindergarten, when I am participating to my school, when I am going to the college, when I am going to the university, more and more information being gathered. So different ways of thinking being highlighted. So everywhere human-made products are available. Everything promotes thinking. So unlike the good old days, now we know we are in a world where thinking become really highlighted, promoted, and we are being knowingly or unknowingly victimized to that process. So that's why even yesterday we discussed, so this too much thinking leads even to certain mental disorders. So if we don't know how to properly think, then it can lead to wrong, strong views also. Michaditti. Say now you have a personality view. I am here. So did I have a past life? Oh, there is no past life. Oh, who was I in the past life? How was my life in the past life? From where did I come to that past life? So we are thinking. So will I have a future life? Or won't I have a future life? Whom am I going to be in the future life? How will be in the future life? Will I have a good birth or, a fortunate birth, luxurious birth in the future life? And from that future life, where I am going to next? Thinking based on I. You're taking a person, you're taking a personality. You have become a person, and about that person you have a doubt now. Was there a past life to that person, or will there be a future life to that person, to me? So there may be a question, am I available now? Or who am I? From where I came from? To where I am going from here? Am I doing well, or am I not doing well? So you may start further thinking. So Buddha say, so when you think like this, it is completely ayoniso manasikara. Wrong way of thinking. You have thinking based on a person. You have taken a kind of a wrong view. There is a person here, there is I here. To this person, was there a past life? Based on that past life related 5 ways of wrong thoughts can happen. With respect to the future life, another 5 ways of wrong thoughts can happen. And with respect to the present life, another 6 ways of thoughts can happen. Ultimately, altogether, 16 doubts can happen. Suppose if you promote like this, you become completely confused. And Buddha say, you may end up with thicket of views, a desert of views. You can't even look at where am I, what's the end, where to escape, completely trapped in a thicket of views. In Sabbasava Sutta, Buddha explained this. So because of this ayoniso manasikara, because of this I-based thinking, ego-based thinking, egocentric thinking, we can think of the past and we get trapped in thinking, become more confused. And with respect to the future, we can become further confused. We can become really anxious. We can become really, frightened even. And even with the present life, also I can become further confused. Utterly confused. Thicket of views. So therefore, it is not very innocent in a way. Even though we feel thinking is a kind of innocent activity we all share, it leads many confusions. It leads a lot of arguments. It leads to a lot of conflicts. And it can even make us really crazy. And ultimately we can become completely crazy even if we start too much thinking. Confusions, arguments, value judgments, depressions, anxiety, ODC, what's that? OCD, right? What's represent obsessive compulsive disorder. Obsessive compulsive disorder. Too much thinking. Because we see that this is not a simple area now. Now, all that can even lead to mental disorders. Very heavy area. So that's why we need to understand the consequences of this wrong way of thinking, ayoniso manasikara, and irrational way of thinking, and again uncontrolled thinking. And we even promote thinking and we like thinking. So that's the other bad thing. So Buddha particularly say, papanchabhirata paja. So these beings are addicted to thinking. They are fond of thinking. They like thinking. They can't keep quiet. They can't be silent. They won't think. They want to think more. They become more anxious about it. They become, depressed as a result of that. And compulsive disorders are there because of that. Phobias are there because of that. Because of thinking. I'm thinking. I have my own thinking. Different patterns of thinking. Wrong patterns, by the way. Harmful patterns. And we call ruminations. And so ultimately, I have a strong personality. I have built a personality. So I am continuously going on and completely trapped in the samsara. So therefore, this conceptual proliferation is one strong fact to continue our samsaric journey. Not allowing us to stop it, not allowing us to escape. Yocha, so papancha manuyutto papanchabhirato magu. Viradayiso nibbanang yogakkemang anuttara. So Venerable Sariputta therefore mentioned this fool, so this beast who likes thinking, who likes conceptual proliferation, he go beyond or go far away from Nibbana. So he's a fool. So we need to therefore understand, am I really a fool to promote thinking? Or am I thinking when it is necessary? Can I control thinking? Is it possible for me to think when it is necessary and to stop when it is not necessary? So therefore, Vipassana helps us to have this capacity, to build this skill and to use our ability to think in a more, productive way. So it doesn't mean we are prohibiting thinking. Rather, it's a very special characteristic, special capacity, very good skill we all have, but we need to properly manage it. Otherwise, we'll become trapped in it. We become a victim of that whole process. So we'll further look into this area in the coming sermons, and with that note, I'll conclude today's Dhamma sermon. Thank you very much for attentive listening.